Hello, everybody. Welcome along to the afternoon Rabble here on the Rangers Rabble Podcast, brought to you by the Rabble Network. My name's Martin. I am one of the three hosts today. I am also joined by Trev, as always. Trev, how are we?
Still always. Hi, guys. Hope you're well. I'm wanting to hopefully feel less crappy by the end of this by having a wee cathartic chat with you guys. So,
yeah, I can almost guarantee that you won't. For the simple reason that we've got Ash on. Ash, how are you?
I'm pretty despondent today, to be honest. I usually try and be optimistic and quite happy, but I'm feeling pretty bummed out after yesterday's debacle, as we have to pick over yet another defeat at Hampden against that lot. So, it's not been the best Monday morning, I have to say.
I see you've put on your "this is what I'm going to wear in 40, 50 years" jumper. You've put on your "I'm going to go walks on the countryside with the dogs."
I'm too tight to put the heating on this early in November jumper, Martin. There is quite a distinct difference.
Martin, that sounded like Bill Leckie's bloody dating profile.
God, I know. Right, okay. Hello to everybody, by the way, who's tuning in. We are now only available on YouTube. Of course, the membership stuff's available on YouTube and on Patreon as well. That's probably where she found that jumper that she's wearing, to be fair.
Mind in the gutter.
I thought I get rid of that for the last victim. Jesus Christ. Oh, sorry.
Nobody, even though Ash is like 3'5", nobody is fitting inside that loft. I wish people would realise how small that loft is.
I get shorter every episode, guys. I'm like a borrower at this stage.
You're not taller than Martin. I'm sure you are.
No. Soon we'll all be out for a night out, and Peter Dinklage will walk by and go and look down at Ash. That's how small Ash is getting.
Oh, low blow. Come on, start ripping that new one, Ash.
The cheek.
Right, okay. That's the fun over. Right. Let's get to the serious stuff. Please, everybody who's tuning in, if you can, please do like, share, and subscribe. Like I say, we are only available now on YouTube. It really does help the channel out. And if you want to see more, not from Trev, right? I wouldn't put you through that. But if you want to see more of myself, Ash, Ian T1000, Hamish, Connor, Brian, Stuart, a lot of them, then consider joining up as a member now. Loads and loads of extra content for as little as £1.99 per month. Right, Ash, I can't not talk about it anymore. Yesterday's game. See, before we get to refereeing decisions and all the rubbish nonsense that came with that, let's focus on Rangers. Because I don't want the performance to get lost in all the mire of refereeing decisions. As per usual in these games, Ash, it takes us 45 minutes to get going. Why?
It's a mentality thing. It can only be. I mean, yesterday for us to start the game the way that we did was almost criminal. I mean, we came onto that, with a bit of domestic momentum after a few pretty good results, particularly Easter Road, where we showed a different side of our game. We should have been flying into that game, but instead we looked very nervous, indecisive, and it actually looked as though see, that's just distracting me now. No, it looked as though the occasion was too big for those players, and we consistently give entire halves a football away. We give ourselves a mountain to climb, and then when the pressure's off second half, we come out and we play a little, but by then the damage has already been done. So it's a real concern, Martin. And yes, we'll talk about refereeing decisions in terms of the opportunity I think was taken from us yesterday, but we also gave that away by not kicking a ball until the second half.
Yeah, we didn't. I mean, we didn't kick a ball until the second half, Trev, but we also still, in that time, created three, gilt-edged chances. Like, the first one, Chermiti 5 yards out, somehow puts it past the post. Raskin's through on goal. I mean, it's a simple finish, really, that Raskin's got to take. And then, of course, Chermiti with a ball in at the back post. He's literally just got to make any sort of contact with that ball, and it's a goal. So, you know what? Yeah. I 100% agree with Ash, Trev. For 45 minutes, we were honking, but we still created chances that we should have took.
I just don't think our forwards are good enough to finish a fish supper, never mind put a ball in the net at the best of times. Chermiti, I'm not blaming him for the £8 million tag. I'm not, but you've got to do the basics. Like, I mean, my granny could score from that range, and she's no longer with us. So, I mean, that literally says it all. It's kind of disgusting. And then Raskin, I like Raskin, right? But his form's been honking. He's trying to turn himself into some kind of attacking midfielder, trying to get goals left, right, and centre, and it's not coming off for him a lot.
No.
Stick to what you're good at. You can't even pass very well, Raskin. Do you know what I mean? So, I would want to keep giving Danilo a shout for sure, along with another one, and cycle through them until we find something that actually works and clicks. But Ash is right; it's a mentality thing. It clearly worked in the second half after they got a rocket. So this mentality thing needs to get sorted, and it needs to get sorted yesterday. Otherwise, this will keep happening, and we'll get absolutely spanked on Thursday. So we better sharpen up.
Not just mentality, as Ashes went off a blue. She's went very staunch down there.
She has
a mood light.
Yeah, she's not paid a lecky bill because she's too busy buying expensive granny jumpers. But look, mentality, Ash, is one thing, and I completely agree with you, but also quality of the players that we have. £8 million in a striker who can't score for 5 yards out in the middle of the goal, Ash. Miovski coming on later on in the game and looking completely lost and fumbling over the ball. Danilo wasn't really in the game, let's be honest. It almost looked as if he didn't really know what he was doing in that first half. He was getting in Chermiti's way and vice versa. He was dropping off a lot, trying to help out the midfielders. He wasn't really playing his natural position, which we've seen against Hibs. If you give Danilo the ball anywhere near the goal, he can score. That's before we even get to the midfield and the defence. I mean, the quality of player just isn't there.
No, and the kind of damning indictment is we've spent a lot of money. We have spent a lot of money in the summer, even on players like Jika, who I'm sure we might talk a little bit more about his performance. But yeah, he's only a loan. But do you think that, you know, a young guy moving to Wolves for 10 million quid isn't going to be on a serious salary? You know, we have invested in the squad, but we have invested poorly. And you're spot on yesterday. You know, yes, the mentality is an issue. Yes, the attitude and application at times is an issue, but we were really, really lacking in quality. And those three opportunities that you're talking about, I mean, Raskin has been absolutely fantastic for Belgium. I know that he plays a slightly different way for us, but for him to be through on goal and have that opportunity and not really work the keeper, yes, Schmeichel sticks a leg out and saves it. But you expect better from him in that situation. And the Chermiti chances, I mean, they're unforgivable, really. There is no justification, particularly that one where Dio plays him through with a fantastic ball. But I suppose, Martin, you're spot on. That's the biggest worry, is that we've invested, we've brought a lot of players in, we've turned over the squad, and yet you look at Celtic's team yesterday that was far away from their best 11, and they quite comfortably at times dealt with us and put us under pressure. So where that leaves us for the rest of the season, I don't know, but it's a massive worry.
I mean, just focusing on Chermiti for a sec, Trev. And I've heard a lot of people say this, and it is true. It's not his fault we paid 8 million plus whatever the add-ons come to for him, right? He didn't choose to be sold for £8 million. Thelwell chose to buy him, is the hard truth about it. But as long as we've got Chermiti, who's nowhere near ready to be a starting striker for Rangers, and you've got Miovski, who looks as if he's never played in Scotland before, I mean, what are we expecting in games like this?
The one I was just thinking about the Chermiti thing. It's a bit of a dilemma. I guess there's no ideal way out of this, guys. Ultimately, I think in January he needs to get on loan. I really do, because he's too expensive to be sitting on the bench. We can't keep playing him all the time because he's going to be a waste of a jersey, but nor could we stick him on the bench for the reason I mentioned a moment ago. So I reckon, honestly, we stick him out on loan in January, and then we maybe see if we can get another striker in, whether it's loan or permanent, because I'm okay with Danilo. I'm okay with Miovski. Maybe we need one other. But as a professional, mate, whether you're 8 million or you're 8 bob, you should not miss from that range. You really shouldn't. You just open your foot. It's the simplest thing in football. You literally open your foot and it'll go in. So that is concerning. I would be putting him on the bench really well and try to give Miovski and Danilo more of a shout.
I mean, that chance, I should have been able to get your head on that chance, wouldn't you? along along the ground. You'd have definitely have scored that.
They probably went over the top.
I need to stop before HR get involved with all these small jokes.
And you're
This is
short as
live,
well.
so we're good.
You're short as well. That's the best there.
I'm not short. I'm shorter than
Yeah.
you, but I'm not that short.
You come in to get your PC fixed at my flat, and I was like, "What are you doing there?"
Martin.
But Trev, you're over 6 foot, so
True.
you're higher than average for most people in the UK. Is what I'm going to keep going on about. I want to pick up this comment, Ash, about, and it is a fair point. I mean, I mentioned it yesterday. They had a striker up front, a young boy they got for Sligo Rovers for a packet of crisps and a Mars bar. They had a makeshift defence because their best right back and best centre back was out missing. For me, they had their best midfielder on the bench, and Hatate. And we not let them beat us, but we should be winning that, right? And not only should we be winning that, even with the state that we're in. I'm trying to say this as politically correct as I can. How can we let a Celtic team in that state dominate us the way they did, especially in that first half? That's the nicest way I can put it.
It's an absolutely fair question. I mean, you look at the young boy, Kenny, you look at Osmond, I think was the young boy that came on. You look at Ralston, you look at Scales. I mean, these are not are any of those players that you'd want to have in your starting 11? Probably not in terms of the quality. But what they do is the game means something to them. And you can see that, and they run, they tackle, they do all of the basics that you need to do to be a footballer, particularly in that, in that type of game. At the end of the day, the way that we started, like I say, it just set the tone for the entire first half. We were just never able to break that cycle. And what an opportunity yesterday was for us to really start to believe in the revolution under Rule. I mean, I think we will be good under him, and I do think he's the manager that's going to bring us a little bit of success. But we probably don't get a better chance to beat Celtic at Hampden than we did yesterday, and we've completely and utterly blown it. And now they're going to go and win the first trophy of the season, more than likely, at a time when they should have been under a little bit of pressure. The pressure is just taken right off them and is now back onto us, because once again we've failed in a big game when it matters against Celtic. I mean, winning Old Firm games when there's no trophy on the line or when the league's already over, that means absolutely nothing. It means nothing. Yeah. We went into this Old Firm game, was it unbeaten in 5? Somebody can correct me, but we went in unbeaten. What does that actually mean? It means nothing. The Celtic team know that when it really matters, they just turn up and they win those games, and we just can't get over the line. And it's a real worry for, as I say, seasons ahead, how we turn that around. And
I mean, God, that is the truth, Trev. When they have to win in Old Firm games, Celtic win.
Yeah, they've when it comes down to the mentality point again, that they have it. They have enough players in their team that remember how to actually play against us and actually how to come out and annoy us and get at us. Unfortunately, McGregor still being at the centre of midfield, while he's kind of nowhere near the player he once was, he's enough of a catalyst in that middle to get them riled up for it. We just don't have that. We've not had it in a long while. We've not had leaders in a long, long while, and that's the concerning thing. When you're buying in players, you need to be... Remember Russell Martin was saying, we get the guys in that have got the skill for the most part, but we need to get the right mentality, the right fit. Did you, Helmet? I think you were doing kind of some Cilla Black blind date malarkey there, because it was not happening for you at all. You have to see if they are actually got leadership materials in them, because we need enough of them in the park. We have none. You could say Butland at the back, but he can't influence that much from back there. Apart from that, maybe Tav, if I'm being generous, but I can't think of much else. It's scary, mate. It really is scary.
Just on that point, sorry, Trev, talking about players' mentality. You look at the Asgard red card, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, at some point. The Celtic, when Maida actually goes up and pushes Asgard back to the ground, the Celtic players are right around Asgard. They're right at the referee. They gave Walsh really not much room to manoeuvre in terms of not producing that red card, which he did instantaneously, by the way. You then look, and maybe I've misremembered this because I was watching it and I was passionate about it at the time, but the Butland kick, I don't think, when Trusty kicks Butland, I don't think we had the same reaction. We don't put as much pressure on the referees as Celtic do. We don't fight for our teammates the way that I think the Celtic team do. And that's the basics in this game. That is the absolute basics you expect to see from your squad.
Okay, let's discuss it then. I was going to talk about the defence, but we might leave that until tonight's members show, because I do also want to pick up on the second half performance as well, because Tim Sharp's having a go at me in the comments, and I don't like it when Tim Sharp has a go, because he's very rich, Tim. So you don't get on the bad side of rich people.
He'll hire a hitman for you, mate.
Don't say it out loud, man. Don't say it out loud. But yeah, right, Ash. I'm one of these people. I grew up in a part of Glasgow where it was 50% us, 50% them. We all got on, we all mixed. It wasn't like a village mentality where I grew up. So I've always been sort of, you win some, you lose some, you get some decisions, you don't get some decisions, whatever. Whenever the word corruption or corrupt or cheat is used, I sort of retreat into a shell and go, no, nonsense. It just doesn't happen. Some referees might have a persuasion one way or the other, and they might have gave the odd decision based on their loyalties, but 9 times out of 10, or as many times out of 10 as possible, they give the decision that they think's right in the moment. After the cup final, when Cherny's should have had a penalty, and it was blatantly obvious he should have had a penalty, and maybe with the ref, if there was no VAR, the referee might not see that and give a free kick, and then there's no recourse for us to go, well, the referee should have 100% seen that. That's corruption, that's cheat, right? But with VAR, you look at that and you go, how did you get that wrong, right? So that blows up for a while. And then we kind of move past that a wee bit, and it kind of gets forgotten about as the season finishes and you move into the next one. Ash, I can't think of a single reason or excuse or decision that the people in that VAR room have came to with regards to not sending off Trusty for choosing, right, not a follow through, for choosing to deviate his foot and kick Butland in the head. Can you think of a justification for that being a yellow?
The only justification for it not being a yellow, or maybe not justification, but the reason it wasn't, is because Celtic are refereed to a completely different standard to everybody else in Scottish football, and officials are absolutely terrified to give big decisions against them, to the point where it's not even just marginal decisions. It's, 70-30 against Celtic, it's 65-35 against Celtic. And the referee, whether it's conscious or subconscious, will try and find a way not to give the big decision against Celtic. It's as simple as that. And for me, yesterday, what I saw with Walsh is he refereed us instinctively. So he went with his gut. He was quick. He was decisive. Whether you agree with all his decisions in terms of the punishments he handed out is maybe another question. But you look at the length of time it took him to give the penalty against Ralston. It's almost a long, reluctant whistle. You can actually hear the consequences churning through in his mind. Do I need to give this penalty? If I give this penalty, is it going to be a second yellow? If I don't give the penalty, will VAR intervene? You can almost hear that happening, that mental thought process going on in his head. And yet with Asgard, before we really even understood what had happened, the red card was being brandished and Asgard was getting sent off. So, I'm at the stage now, and I'm probably going to get a little bit of stick for this, but I genuinely think if I was Rangers, I'd support them in saying, we're not going to participate in Old Firm games whilst there's Scottish officials refereeing. We need to go back to basics. We need to, reinstall trust in our officials in Scotland, because at the moment we're not getting a level playing field. And how can we possibly go and compete in a game of football when we just don't get any rub of the green at all, and every marginal decision goes Celtic's way? It's a joke. And yesterday was just laughable, some of the decisions that Walsh made. Oh, you're on mute, Martin.
See, at least Ash tells me. Trev just sits there and nods as if he can hear me. Trev, do you think it'll ever get to that point? I mean, I remember all the years ago, Celtic initiated a referee strike because of whatever was going on there. It was a long time ago. Do you think that is a possibility that could happen? Do you think this Rangers board now, these owners have got the cojones to look at that and go, something's not right here, we need an investigation?
Well, I believe, and I don't know when it'll happen, if it'll happen, Rangers are drawing up a dossier of not just one, but many decisions that went against us over X amount of time, and then they're going to present it to the SFA with a clear-cut kind of documentation of evidence to say, right, here's the proof that this is, and they'll actually try and, I think, maybe include other decisions as well, maybe outside Rangers, to make it fair, so they can't say we're biased. I don't know the details of what happened with Celtic and the strike back in the day. Someone would need to fill me in, but I can't see it coming to that, because you know what would happen in my eyes if Rangers were to do that. They would come down with the maximum fines, the maximum disciplinary rules against us. They would do everything they possibly can, dot points, you name it, and just start papping us out of competitions. We would need to go further. I don't know if UEFA, I know don't laugh at the back, I know they're as dodgy and corrupt as the rest of them in FIFA, but where do you go after that to actually start challenging so everyone's got to be liable for something, mate. Even the CEO of a company is liable by the board members. The board members are liable by the shareholders, etc., etc. Everyone's got a boss. So we need to, there's surely an avenue we go further and go, right, I'm not going to say the corruption word yet either, Martin, like you said the other day, but it's getting closer and closer to that with evidence. Evidence just says it all, doesn't it? How can you go that far and it not be corrupt? It's just absolutely shocking that they rely on decisions like that to actually get them over the line. And enough's enough.
In terms of these decisions, Ash, right, and I'm not going to name names because I'm just not. There is one referee who I know for a fact is a dyed-in-the-wool Rangers supporter, right? But puts his allegiances to the side when he's refereeing, goes out there and tries to do his job. And he is a referee, by the way, that I guarantee you everybody in our comments would go, no, he's not a Rangers supporter, because look at the decisions that he gives against us. And he's been named quite a lot by Rangers supporters as being very pro-Celtic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is causing these decisions that, according to you, and by the way, yes, you will be clipped up, you know you will, you'll be all over socials by Paddy Power and the likes, because it is the way that it is now, unfortunately. What is causing Celtic to get these decisions?
A very well executed plan to cultivate an environment where people are terrified to give decisions against Celtic. I mean, even you could see the spin happening after the full-time whistle yesterday, where all of a sudden we were focused on the offside goal that they had disallowed in the first 15 minutes. I didn't see the lines. That was marginal. That might not have been offside. Celtic may have been done dirty there. And then the Ralston penalty, you had that narrative being spun that what's he meant to do? He's fallen over. Is he meant to chop his arm off? And what that does is it creates the climate of, right, okay, so Rangers got a bad decision against them, but so did Celtic. Celtic had a couple. Do you know what? Overall, over the balance of the game, it probably works out about the same. Well, no, it doesn't, because we got a penalty with 12 minutes to go after we'd already played nearly a whole half of football with 10 men. That should have been evened up at half time. And do you know what's even more incredible? Sorry, Martin, just on that, is the first thing you get taught when you play football is once your team or the opposition team's had a red card, your manager will say to you, don't do anything daft, don't give the referee a decision to make, because subconsciously he's going to want to level it up. I mean, that's laughable.
Mm-hmm.
There was not a more obvious red card to give yesterday, but even with that kind of backdrop, there was no way that Walsh was going to produce the red card for that kick on Jack Butland. So for me, it's a very well executed plan by the likes of Lowell, who basically controls Scottish football, has controlled the narrative around referees, all the penalty to Rangers nonsense in the last few seasons as well, done its job. And now there's a climate amongst refs that, do you know what, it's actually just not worth the hassle. Given a big decision against Celtic. It's not great doing it against Rangers, but they'll get over it. They'll write a statement, the fans will complain, but normal service will resume and everything goes on. Whereas with Celtic, it would be weeks and weeks of drama and headlines, and the rest just can't be bothered with it. And that's my honest opinion. I think that it's more than, rather than corruption, I think it's more just they don't need the hassle.
I also think the media's got a part to play in this as well, Trev. I mean, we all remember, and it still gets said now, penalty to Rangers. Remember that? Mm-hmm. When Rangers got penalties, when like 90% of them were penalties. I remember, did somebody not phone up Clyde and go, I'm raging at Rangers getting that penalty to Rangers, and the boy says, but was it no a penalty? And he went, aye, it was, but it was the time they got it at. And you're like that, right? Well, that's the kind of stupid that you're dealing with, right?
Yeah.
I think that's now 70 or 71 games Celtic have went without a red card, Trev. Yeah, it's like a world record, apparently. I've not looked into the actual numbers, but can we start saying no red card Celtic?
Yeah, I think that's fair, and the media are definitely part of this.
And by the way, the fact that you didn't even know anything about that, Trev, if the shoe was in the other foot, you would know all about that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I probably don't know it because I don't know a lot about Celtic. I don't know a lot of their players because I don't follow them. I don't give a shit, to be honest with you. But it's mind blowing, Martin. That's that. The media have got their part in this. They always have. The spin machines. They do anything for a click. Some of them generally, a lot of them don't like us. That's definitely part of it. But also, how do you get more clicks, Martin? Let's blame Big Bad Rangers. You'll get more clicks, you'll get more revenue, more money. It's not that they want to do as in necessarily, some of them. What will get them the most clicks and the most revenue, and that is Big Bad Rangers. So that's why they do it. They can't be in. There's some of them are impartial, and the ones that are more impartial are the ones that have got more leanings towards Rangers, believe it or not.
I know a couple of the guys, Trevor. I know a couple of the guys in the media who work for newspapers, and they are massive blue noses, and they've got no editorial control on what they put out.
Yeah. Someone higher up with certain leanings will be like, no, that's not going outside, not happening, no chance at all. I don't know how you. I generally don't know how you fix that. I hope that goes in the dossier about the 72 games without a red card. That's absolutely blown my mind, guys.
70 or 71. Somebody in the comments will let us know. But no, it's a guy who works at the Daily Record, and I don't know if you remember that time with all that heart and hand stuff that came out.
Disgusting, that.
Yeah. Well, he was quite high up on the Daily Record, and he told them, "Don't do this. Don't try and do what you think you're going to do, because it's not going to work." And I had him on here years ago. Really nice guy, very, very good at his job, very, very good in press conferences. And the fact that he works for the Daily Record means that I'll never have him on until he moves to another news, which is wrong, which is just completely wrong. But I will not be associated with that newspaper. I just won't.
Correct.
But yeah, right. Let's have a quick look, Ash, and people are going to be angry about this conversation, right? And I get why they'd be angry, because it's not something really that fills us with much confidence, but should it? The second half performance with 10 men, Ash. The performance so far of Danny Rowe as manager, with decisions that he's making, starting lineups that he's picking, the kind of changes to formation, changes to shape that he's making during games. And I apologise to everybody watching. How much confidence can we take out of that second half?
I think we've got to, look at it as something to build on, because in the second half they did play for each other. And actually, I would argue that after we scored that goal, I think second half, yes, Celtic had opportunities to put the game away from us, but they weren't very clinical. The fact that we had 10 men and caused them problems, and actually the momentum, I think, was with us as we were going to the latter stages of the game, I think, a real positive in terms of the character of the team. The issue is just that we give away a half of football to begin with, so we make it really difficult for ourselves. I also think if we were playing 10 men in the second half as we should have been, then, that game maybe finishes differently. So, look, I think yesterday, being quite honest, Rule maybe did a couple of things that I would have done differently. Like, I don't think, I think Gassama should have started. And I think that Moore probably should have started, just given the performances, particularly of Moore over the last couple of games. But overall, he identified that Celtic were there to be got at, and he gave the team the confidence in the second half to go out and have a go. And actually, if we had any sort of strikers that were worth their weight, then we probably could have scored a goal or two. So, look, this isn't on Rule yesterday. I think he did quite well overall. And the team have to take a little bit of heart of the way they stayed in the game and took Celtic to extra time. So we ran out of legs, during that period of the game, and Celtic obviously went on and won the game. But the second half was definitely something to be positive about.
Well, the famous Glasgow Rangers, who was born in the same year as me, Trev, he's actually been impressed with what Danny Rowe's done so far. The one major criticism I've got, and again, I'm not a football coach, I'm not a football manager, Danny Rowe would destroy me in a conversation about football, right? Which you would hope, being the Rangers manager, even though he's the same age as me, was how Nasser Giga stayed on the park as long as he did yesterday. I don't know if there's just zero trust in Fernandes. I don't know if he felt he couldn't bring Tav into the middle, into that centre free, and bring Max Aarons on at right back. I can't understand, just from a simple peasant supporter watching from the outside, how Nasser Giga lasted so long.
That's a good point, mate. That is a really good point. Really quickly before I answer that, see the comment you brought up about Maxim with the Rangers seal picture in there. Are you the very same Rangers seal from Twitter that went in hiatus for years, man? Because you're a legend. You just taking his picture. Oh, mate.
Unfortunately, it's not. We don't get that level of celebrity on here, Trev.
Do you remember that? The Rangers seal in random pictures and random backgrounds, they just pop up like that.
We don't get that level of celebrity, mate. We're not that big.
We don't. Excuse me. Giga. It has to be he was left to remain on because the other youngsters, Fernandez and Ciela, he doesn't have enough trust in. It has to be that, because surely a man of his education, football and education, will be able to see what he sees on the training pitch and goes, right, okay, these guys are not good enough or they're not ready enough yet, I can't throw them in. You have to think it's that, because then he's incompetent otherwise. He's literally keeping someone on because he thinks he's better, even though he's clearly not. He cannot be blind. He cannot be blind. I said this to Ash yesterday. I want Giga's contract cancelled, his loan contract cancelled in January. I think Ash, you said you'd maybe need to keep him, but I would be trying to go and looking for another loanee, ideally a permanent player if we can, because he is just absolutely honking for me. Just go.
Was John Sutter much better, Ash?
No, John Souttar, and for a player who's very experienced in this fixture, I mean, that's the only thing you could say about Giga, is he's obviously not been exposed to Celtic at Hampden before, and of course the tension that comes with that. But John Souttar, he's someone that I think's been dialing it in for a very, very long time. You know, there was a few times Kenny got at him, ran direct, and there was a half attempt to try and stop the shot, and Butland gets down and makes a really big save when we're already 1-0 down. So I think Souttar, because he's Scottish, has been given a bit of a soft ride from Rangers fans. He's one for me that I'm over the John Souttar Rangers experience. And I know that of the three defenders, he probably wasn't the worst yesterday, because Giga had a really bad game. But I expect so much more from the vice-captain of our football team. And the interview that he did a few weeks ago, the pre-match press conference where he was asked questions, if that's the guy that's going to inspire the dressing room, then, you know, no wonder we come out of the tunnel slow, lethargic, because that, and I know there's a lot going on at the club, and I know that he's out of contract and there's lots of things happening, but that's how you present yourself as the leader of a dressing room, doing that press conference when you look bored. The whole thing stinks to me, and I'll be glad when we get a new defence next summer, because this defence is so far away from being good enough, it's quite scary. Is
it good, Ash, or is it actually scary? That for me, and please tell me if you disagree, that Tavernier was one of the best players in the park yesterday.
I think it probably indicates how poor our recruitment has been, because, you know, Tav was a legend. I mean, that penalty yesterday, the pressure on that penalty, and he slots it in the corner. He deserves all the praise in the world. And yesterday he had a very good game. But considering that was a man we were looking to manage out the team in the summer, now we're all terrified if we don't see him on the team sheet. I think tells you how poor the recruitment has been, and how poorly performing the players that have come into the squad have been as well. So it's not Tav's fault that everyone else has been useless, but as I say, I think it just indicates that we've made a lot of mistakes this summer that are going to take many years to try and fix.
How many times are we going to have that conversation? It's going to take many years to fix it, but this was supposed to be different. Andrew, channel member, has put in a massive super sticker. Thank you very much. You can see that in the YouTube comments now. Thank you very much, Andrew, for the support. And Chunky as well has put in a super chat. Without the chat, Chunky, thank you very much, my friend, for the continued support. And if you want to help support us as well, you can join up as a channel member now. Well, you will see more of Trev, because you will see the Extreme Gaming podcast if you join up. He's the least handsome on the Extreme Gaming podcast, that has to be said.
What? Gray's 68, man, looks like a burst ball. Are you kidding me?
Oh, Gray's a handsome man. And that accent as well. Yeah, the accent, that American accent. Yeah. Anyway, if you want to do that, the links are now in the description. If you want to help us out, help independent Rangers media, then thank you very, very much. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as well. Just finally then, because we are live tonight at 7:15. The women's show, by the way, is on at 6:30 as well. They get beat at the weekend if you want to tune in for that. Right here at 6:30. Trev, It'll sound like a broken record, but I want Thelwell out. He's 100% responsible for this mess, which has been made even more evident by the fact that we're saying that we like what Danny Röhl's doing. We like the way that he's approaching the games. We like how he's took to the club. We like some of the results that he's been getting. But when it comes down to it, when it comes to crunch time, these players aren't good enough.
He's the number one person I want gone, even over Stuart. I mean, yeah, Stuart got Thelwell in, so you could say he needs to go as well. But for me, Stuart is he runs the business side of the club, so I'm not as he doesn't need to go as quickly for me. And if I only get one person to go, it's Thelwell. He has proven he is absolutely honking. I'm concerned that he's obviously going to be the man in place to get more signings in January. Is he going to get signings in where he can get 10% cut back in his own back pocket, or is he actually going to go to the gaffer and go, what do you need? Here's some names. Do you like any of these guys? We could sign them as long as I get my 10%. You know, he is absolutely honking, and we need, as a support, keep ramping up the pressure to get him out. And it might get. Let's do it properly, though, guys. Let's not be taking the piss and taking it too far. But if we do it properly, ramp up the pressure, he'll be like, I'm done. I'm going back down south. It's too much pressure for me and my family. I just want him gone, mate, because I'm kind of scared about January when he's still in place.
Well, he's got the PIN number to the bank card for January, Ash.
Well, listen, if you're Andrew Kavanagh, you were at the game yesterday, do you feel you've got a good level of squad for the investment that you've made? I mean, surely to see how far away we are...
20 million, Ash, 20 million net spend.
To see how far away we are from a Celtic team that were missing a lot of their key players and who are bang average as well, I'm asking some questions around how have we got recruitment so badly wrong that we can't match the passion and fight in the first half in an Old Firm semi-final with a chance to go and win, compete for a trophy in December. So Kavanagh, I get the impression he's quite shrewd. Whenever he does interviews, he alludes to the fact that he is very aware around the mood music at the club. So I would like to think that, there are questions being asked around Thelwell, but I still think he'll get January, and who knows what damage he can do in that window the way that he has in the summer. So it doesn't get much easier, folks. I'm afraid it's not been the most inspiring podcast, but it's been a really difficult 24 hours after yesterday.
It really has. And as a trying Scotsman says, proper was great, Martin 2024. Listen, I don't run Rangers Football Club, right? I'm just a wee fat guy who sits and talks about Rangers. So I'm allowed to get it wrong, right? Thelwell's no. He's allowed to get it wrong sometimes because not every transfer works, but you can't get it wrong as much as what he has so far, right? We are back tonight at 7:15 for the Monday Night Rabble. Trev, I will let you have the final word.
I'm just surprised how Thelwell even got the job. Sorry, he was in charge at Everton. They didn't actually shake the ground, move the earth with what they were doing. I'm just surprised we gave it to someone of his lack of quality. Like, you could even put someone in from a lower league that had been working their backside off, a Davy Weir or something that knows what they're actually doing. I'm just surprised they got this position, man. It just stinks to high heaven, and keep your fingers in everything. Every body part cross for January, because it could be interesting.
Yes, well, folks, we'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Before you all jump out and close down the window or turn off your TVs, it's really weird to, like, for the thought of like people who watch YouTube on their TV, like I'm on their TV right now. Like
85-inch, 85. You look like, what is that, Jack? Victor, can you see me now?
Can you see? It's the gas man. But yeah, leave a like and make sure that you are subscribed if you haven't done that already. And Miller, that's really good to know. I hope it's an enjoyable one. I hope that everything's fine down there.
Good luck.
And I hope that you enjoy it as well. That's the main thing about going for something like that. You need to enjoy it. Right. Trev, Ash, thank you very much. I'm being deadly serious there, by the way.
On that note, don't know how to finish that off, so I'll just say thank you, folks, for an enjoyable 40 minutes.
Stinky. Bye-bye.
Right, okay. Trev, Ash, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. Thank you for the super chats, the likes, the shares, the subscribes. Thank you to all the new members, and we shall speak very, very soon.